Hello and welcome to Read and React, presented by Fable Table. I, as ever, am your host, Nick Bowen. Joining me today is the lovely Shannon. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing swell. Today, we are continuing our Read and React series of Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Today, we are finishing the first book. So warnings for spoilers for the entire book. And of course, as ever, a content warning for violence, drugs, alcohol use. I don't know if I'm going to continue giving the content warning because I think it's pretty evident at this point. And I don't know if people will be tuning in starting on future books. Who knows? But anyway, so last time on the previous set of chapters 33 through 40, Carl and Donut reached the second floor. They learned about views, about followers, about favorites. We started to get an inkling of sponsorships and interviews. And a lot more of that to come, not in this book. Matt Dinniman does a good job of being like, this is a thing, but not getting into all the mechanics of all the dungeon things too soon. They encounter some monsters, a part of a pyramid scheme working for a monster called a crack heron. Carl nearly dies during that boss fight, but Donut gets him through. They catch up with Mordecai. What was that?
I said she heroically saved him, obviously.
Oh, yeah. They meet a Borant assigned PR manager. Since they are so popular, they need someone to manage all of their interview requests. Oh, by the way, you are required to participate in interviews. Carl is very pissed off about this, but has kind of a heart-to-heart with Zev, their PR manager, who basically explains that she is also a victim of the machine. And then they all find out that they all like Gossip Girl. Well, except Carl, but Mordecai, Donut, and Zev like Gossip Girl, and they all bond. It's adorable. Zev whispers some stage direction to Carl when they meet up with Meadowlark, and then warns him as one of their elders, Frank, pees on the wall and summons a level 75 rage elemental that kills him and Yolanda. They barely make it into the safe house, and then Carl and Donut engage in a goose chase, abusing some mechanics to get the elemental to teleport away so that they can leave and then ride their motorcycle around, carpet bombing the stairwell, and eventually bamboozling the elemental into going down the stairwell.
If ever there was a moment where we needed to hear the Team America song for It's a Montage, it's in this scene. If it's ever made into a movie, which or a TV show, as we have previously discussed, is in talks with Seth MacFarlane. Oh God, I hope there's a montage song.
Peacock has picked it up. Peacock is. Oh
my God, I'm genuinely excited. Oh God, how will they? It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to love it. It doesn't matter.
We may have to, in the future, when the show comes out, react to the visual medium of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Don't worry. I'll pluck my eyebrows and my chin, and I'll be camera ready, Nick. Let's do this.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to pick up the pace with some of our reading and reacting here, and moving forward with some of the future books. In an effort to get caught up, we're going to be breaking down the books into 2 or 3 episodes of this show, unlike the 10 that we have done for book 1.
It feels impossible, but I endeavor to believe in us. So yeah, we'll do it.
Rumble in the chat says stay tuned for the meta show where they reacted to the read and react while reading. Can't wait. So chapter 41, this chapter is kind of broken down into a couple very different scenes. We are first shown their new numbers now that they have led the Rage Elemental into its demise. Whereas 12 hours earlier in the previous chapters, we saw that they had like 200 billion views, 4 billion followers, and almost 800 million favorites. They're now up to 1.4 trillion views, 7 times as many. 352 billion followers, which is 80 times more followers. And they have 30 times more favorites at 21.4 billion. So
that's what happens.
Notoriety is skyrocketing. And a little spoiler for the rest of these chapters, they go on an even higher meteoric rise. It's just burning rocket fuel into the stratosphere of their popularity for the rest of this book. Which basically sets the stage for them being like notorious crawlers for the rest of the dungeon. But our first scene is when they, following getting the Rage Elemental killed, the Meadowlark team, as was their plan, starts to head immediately for the stairwell. They're not going to faff about on this floor. They want to get all their elders to the third floor where they can pick a race and they can pick a class and they can gain some level of agency and independence. Yes. We are reminded that they had 75 patients that made it into the dungeon, and they're at about 36 that make it to the third floor. So about half. And this is happening as Carl is constantly reflecting on like
the dwindling power. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you know, are we doing them a favor, or is this cruel and unusual punishment to put these people through? Should we have just like let them go? And it's not clear. It's like continue to wrestle with for the rest of this book. And we will see if it pays off once all these people get their race and class figured out in the next book. But Carl runs into like one of the few elders that like we've given a name to. It's Mrs. McGibbons.
Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie.
I love Ellie so fucking much.
She has kind of a moment and greets Carl as if he was her late husband, Barry. And he reminds her, we're in the dungeon, Mrs. McGibbons. It's me, Carl. You're going to the next floor. She looks at me with confusion. A wave of doubt washes over me. Was this the right thing? What else could we do? And she's like, the dungeon? Like a sex thing? It just pulls us out of the moment.
I must be having an acid flashback. This cat keeps talking to me. Yeah. Oh, I love Ellie. Freaking love Ellie. Absolutely. Yeah.
She's hilarious. And Carl says goodbye to her. She shares some regrets to him of like, we should have done something different with our lives, again thinking he's Barry, and he reassures her it's going to be okay. And then Carl has a flashback moment to his mother saying the same thing to him. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Right before his mother left him. It had been a lie then, and it was a lie now. So we get that Carl really isn't feeling confident that he's doing the right thing.
Not only that, but that Carl isn't very good at bullshitting himself, as well as bullshitting others. You know, he'll say the thing, but I think that he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yes.
He's not a dude that's good with subterfuge. He's not a secret agent. He's just like, man, I hope it's okay. And they hope it's okay. So they're willing to let him lie to him. You know,
he's a reliable narrator when it comes to his feelings.
Yes.
Which is great. We're reminded that Carl has some mommy and daddy issues. And then we move on. We have a lot of books to go, so it's fine. And Team Meadowlark descends. Carl and Donut head for a nearby neighborhood. one with the kobolds, and they're going to grind. They've got 4 days, 6 hours left on the floor. It's at this point, I'm wondering why all of the staff of Meadowlark, why are they not sticking around to level up and train? Are they like not wanting to get separated from their wards, or it's not clear to me. And maybe it was brought up earlier in some of the chapters we read a couple episodes back that I don't remember at this point. But I tried looking this up, and it's not clear to me.
Oh, I mean, it's Amani, it's Chris, it's Brandon at this point. There's really nobody else. And their team of the elderly that they're all taking below, I look at it in a similar fashion to the way that I look at the Carl and Donut relationship, in that, like, okay, Donut has more of her faculties, obviously, than the elderly folks do when they descend.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there's still an element of like, hey, let's discuss this. What's your best option? What is going to make you stronger? What's going to make you better? I think that is a conversation that we'll see, or maybe won't see. We'll see it with Carl and Donut, obviously, but we probably won't see it with the Meadowlark folks. But I think that there's an element of caretaking still that's going to happen up to the moment when these when the elderly folks transform or transmute or whatever you want to call it. Like they're picking a new race. They're going to either become rock people or goblins or orcs
fairies or
fairies or whatever, right? Like, so there's going to be an element of like, I think this will serve this person best, but there should also be an element of decision and choice.
Yeah,
I think that's why they descend with them. They're still their caretakers up to this point.
That's true. And something that gets mentioned later, I'm now kind of piecing together. It sounds like if a group descends together, they actually get to go through the transformation process together, because
I think team quote unquote Meadowlark. So like however many of them there are, they're together in a group, and so it
maybe
at the same time.
they just don't want like to be considered a different group with, even if they went down the same stairwell for that process. Because I think Donut and Carl get to go in together in the next book. I'm forgetting, but
they definitely do.
But there's a comment Audette makes later, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but Audette says like, let Donut go first so you can tailor your choices to hers. And that's now making me think, okay, if they all go together, the you know, cognizant party members can help the elders make their choices.
Right,
and
exactly.
Make sure they don't fuck it up.
Even though you're all in a group, there's still just one tutorial guide.
Right.
Who's guiding that transformation for their group, let's say 36 members.
Okay.
So it's going to take a while. So, you know, the three highly cognizant, aware, hale and hearty folks are going to do their best to try and help those other people survive. Yeah. And then at that point, maybe they can disengage a little bit. Maybe those folks can help to make their own decisions and defend the group as a whole. But, you know, up till that point, they're still completely reliant.
Right. Yeah. And all the elders are still going to be like level 1 or 2, and they're going to need help making sure they don't get party wipes.
Exactly.
And I guess it makes some sense, but it you know, there's also the like, if we fall behind, you know, the employees, like they could risk also getting killed and falling behind. So
don't forget also in those moments, like Brandon and Chris, and I can't remember what level they are, but they're like level 9 or level 8 or level 9 and 10 or whatever it might be. Yeah. But they're going out and taking care of business while they can, while still caring for their charges in those moments, while they're not able to care for themselves. Exactly. So they're still grinding. They're still like leveling up as they're supposed to, but like ultimately, like they're like infants. In that instance, but and it's not really fair to compare. I think to me, even though I just did it, not fair to compare the Carl and Donut aspect, like their relationship, to those of Team Meadowlark, because it is a totally different scenario. Because I and we've said this many times before, but Donut is infinitely more powerful. she's doubly more powerful than Carl is, but her constitution is so fucking low.
Dog shit.
Yeah, Carl is her tank, and she's got all the other stats. So anyway. But she does save him from time to time, and it really fucking pays off. So
she certainly does. And speaking of dog shit, they head off into the Kobold neighborhood where they run into more of the Kobold riders and danger dingoes, their mounts. The Kobold riders, their description is really funny. Here's an interesting fact. The DNA of a kobold and the DNA of a chihuahua are almost identical. That should tell you almost everything you need to know about these yappy little assholes. It's very funny. Carl reflects on playing Dungeons and Dragons and how they were like very lizard-like, but here they're more dog-like. Might have something to do with how like kobolds are seeded as a concept or literally exist out in the galaxy, the universe. But Donut notes the like dog-looking kobolds riding the dog-looking danger dingoes, and just spits like, dogs riding dogs. I've had nightmares like this, as she's killing them with magic missile.
I love it.
She also leaps at a couple of them onto the dingoes' backs and just shreds them with her claws. She's clearly gotten over her complete resistance to using her claws, as we've seen previously, but we just get this brief little reminder. And actually, I want to
have the right race come up. That's all.
Well,
she's not aggressive towards, humans or lizards, but show her a chihuahua, show her
she'll
Cocker
tear that
Spaniel
fucker
or
up.
a beagle. She'll tear that motherfucker
She gets primal.
up. Yeah, exactly.
Here on the screen, I have one of the chapters has a picture of one of the danger dingoes, which looks really cute, actually. I think they're a lot leaner than I imagined in my head. So Donut,
I would say I pictured them pretty similarly, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think I was just imagining something like chunkier, more like a pit bull,
like a warg. From
exactly.
I got you.
While Donut is shredding one of the dingoes with her claws, she mentions that she briefly in her UI had a menu called racial benefits appear for just a split second, and she thinks that she, as a cat, like as a racial trait, the system is giving her bonus damage against dogs if she's attacking physically. It's really interesting. It doesn't really come up again, but it's a brief reminder that when they make racial choices, they will get racial benefits. And it's funny to think of them like, oh, because I'm a cat, I have a bonus damage against dogs. It's very clever and funny.
I love that.
They find a safe room with another little funny doodad in it. It's a toaster with mana toast, 1 per crawler. It refills your mana. That's it. Nothing more. Fuck you, says the description.
I love that.
There is a brief mention that like the toilet paper and shampoo in this safe room are missing, and that there's water on the floor. It just makes you think like, oh, there's other crawlers around. You never know what could happen. We could have another Frank and Maggie situation. But we don't. We move on. And then the third and final scene in this chapter is when Carl and Donut start to receive a message from another Borant admin, this one named Mukta, who gives them a warning that they are going to be teleported to their next interview in 10 minutes. Mukta mentions that Zev is on a 1-day timeout for warning them about the elemental. Aha, here are the consequences for that. That I was wondering, like, why can she do that? And Mukta is the substitute. It also kind of demonstrates that all their interactions with Mukta in this book, this isn't the only one, really illustrate that Zev is really good for them and is better than they could have had. Yeah. Carl mentions like this interview is happening a lot sooner than Zev had set us up for. And Mukta's like, I don't give a fuck. Zev scheduled you on a program called Dungeon Crawl Tactics. I've overridden her decision and picked a better program for you. A better program for you. And then she immediately says, this one is paying a higher fee. Will Carl or Donuts? Yeah. Will Carl or Donut see any of that money? No. Who is this better for? Not Carl and Donut. Nope. Do not worry. It is similar to the other one. It's round table style, close enough at least. They offer gifts to the participants. So Zev is trying to assure them that this is beneficial. And I truly do, or sorry, not Zev, Mukta. I truly do think Mukta actually believes like this is equivalent for them. Is it? No.
No, obviously not. But yeah, in her mind it is, because she doesn't view crawlers in the same way that Zev is viewing crawlers as a part of the same terrible machine. It's like, oh, you should be glad. You're so privileged. And this is,
right.
Yeah,
you're lucky.
Format.
We're doing you a favor.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Fuck this bitch. I fucking hate Mukta. All right.
Carl pulls out the, like, we were promised the right to refuse which interviews we go on. I don't want to go on this one. You seem to be under the impression that you have a say in this, Crawler. Yes, he is, because that's what Zev told him.
Right, exactly. And he's operating under the assumption that Mukta, but, I think Carl is smart enough to realize not the same. Whoever is Zev's superior, which he's already learned, she's a part of the Bloom, this other organization, the party.
Yeah.
The Bloom, that, that was what, like, Mordecai was terrified of. And when he found out that Zev wasn't that, and, we learned that her superior is that, it's like, okay, this is kind of a terrifying person. This is someone that we should be afraid of and wary of. So, like, let's tread with trepidation. But at the same time, Carl's going to do Carl. So I love what happens next.
So, Carl doesn't like that they, like, Carl's testing boundaries, basically, with Mukta, and I can't say he's wrong for doing so. So they start getting ready. Carl starts to brush Donut with her item that gives her a benefit for 10 minutes of brushing or whatever, but also to help her look good for the show. He remembers the first time he tried to brush Donut ever, and it went horribly. It's cute. They quickly go over some of their achievements for the elemental encounter. They get a bunch of like explosive stuff, like a proximity trigger that they can use at a sapper's table, which they can't use yet. But a sapper's table is like the table that he'll be able to use to modify explosives and traps and stuff. Carl gets some later. Yeah. Carl gets something called a Gorgon marital aid, which the description remarks on how Gorgons are like stone creatures, and that to have sex, they have to manipulate how hard things are and flexible. And so that's what this tool does. It manipulates the hardness and plasticity of objects and can fuse things together, which sounds incredibly useful, especially with Carl's ingenuity and his, MacGyverness. So this will definitely come in handy later.
He's a dungeon MacGyver. That is 100% what he is. I love it. Yeah.
They're nearly level 12. They are teleported to another waiting room rental, a boat on the surface of Earth. But this one is a rental trailer. It is not owned by the production company, the TV show. They are renting this trailer, and they learn this when they're greeted by a drone called Mex 55, and the trailer is being rented by the owner of the trailer is Senegal Production Systems Unlimited, which I don't think we'd heard of before, and I don't think it matters. It's just another corporation to add to the list. Another corporation. And just continues to build out like this world of many competing and collaborative corporations and governments. They learned that the trailer is being leased to the program because Mukta couldn't be bothered to mention the name of the program they were going on. Is called Deathwatch Extreme Dungeon Mayhem, hosted by the Maestro. The Maestro? Maestro.
Maestro.
I don't remember who, but one of them says, that's the stupidest name I've ever heard. And the drone, Mex55, says, yeah, wait until you see the show. The robot, which it might be operated by someone, but it might just be its own little AI that is remarking on the show. It's very funny. I
imagine that it's just like its own little AI, and it's like, God, if you think that's bad, just wait. Mm-hmm. It's about to get so much dumber. I love it.
So it's a cute little chapter 41 with a couple really fun scenes. And then we get into 2 really dense chapters, lots to cover here. We'll try and move through it quickly, but they go on the show, which covers basically 2 chapters. We start with Donut remarking on how she's going to vomit because this boat is like either smaller and is rocking more, or the waves are worse. Carl reassures her that she'll get used to it. It'll stabilize when the hollow video starts. I don't like puking. I don't want to puke. And Carl says, really? I seem to recall you had a thing for vomiting on my pillow. That was different, Carl. I did that on purpose. And then he shouts, I knew it. I fucking knew it. And they get pulled in right in that moment. Yeah. And so as we're being brought into this new show and they start to like take it all in as it all gets hollow projected to them in the trailer, we're thinking, how is this going to be different? Here we get a new crawler show. We've heard the name. It sounds awful. How is the host going to compare with Audette? How is the audience going to be? She's pretty weird on mic, but then off mic, she's extremely helpful to them. We'll see. So the lights flicker. They're at a table. There's 4 other chairs. They can't see who's sitting in them. They can't even see the host, whose chair is dark wood with velvet cushion and pig skulls all over it. There's a backdrop with like an elephant monster, the word extreme exploding over and over. The crowd starts cheering at a host that they can't see or hear. But the crowd is chanting die, die, die as they watch a video. And then they start saying something else that is very, very silly.
Glurp, glurp. The audience yelled. Glurp, glurp.
This show has a catchphrase, glurp, glurp.
Yep.
And it's really weird. Carl is watching the crowd and notices there are a bunch of like 12 to 13-year-old human males. And is honing in on the fact that this is a very particular audience.
Well, not just human. It's just that those are the ones that he hones in on because they're all of the same age. And he has to imagine that even though he can't identify a lot of the races and folks that are in the audience, they're of a similar age group and maturity level.
Yes. Toxic teen boys. Very impressionable.
Bam. Nailed it.
And of a certain mindset. Carl is reminded of his dad's friends who broke his slingshot, but not before they shot squirrels with rocks. He's reminded of that kind of like group mentality among toxic men. I can think of some other things that came to my mind from my childhood and people I knew, and terrible things they did. So it's very vivid, this scene.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Carl starts to warn Donut like about what the crowd is going to be like. And she's like, we've talked about this. Carl, you look angry. I'll do the talking. And then the host appears. They can see him and a little sign, you'll be on air soon. And he appears mid-sentence for Carl and Donut. The line he's in the middle of saying goes, "No, you little cunts are going to love today's surprise panelists. Your maestro had to bang some slimy mud skipper tail to pull this one off." but nothing is too good for Maestro's piglets. Suck it, good piglets. We have extremely crude language. He's using a racial slur to refer to the Kuatin. He's saying he had to screw someone at Borant or the party, basically, because they're in control of the show, and he had to pull some strings to get someone from the crawl. And then he's telling his audience to suck it, piglets, which it's just all gross. And their response is, again, glurp, glurp.
Glurp. Yeah, no, that tells me everything I need to know. I know everything I need to know about this fucking dude and his audience.
Yeah.
In that little teeny tiny paragraph, those few sentences. Absolutely.
Yeah. We know that this is a different guy, a different show. This is like a late night show for what would be an analog for this?
Anything from like Red Pill Nation.
But someone young and with no decorum whatsoever.
Anyone from Red Pill Nation. I stand by what I said.
I would argue not anyone. There are some people I can think of that like might pull themselves together and present themselves more respectable than this guy.
Let's call him the orc version of Andrew Tate.
Sure.
If Andrew Tate's father was like an orc king.
Yes.
Of his own nation.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. That's him. Yeah.
So we then get a physical description, even though we already hate this guy. He is a huge muscular orc, like a tuskling. We saw the tusklings in the Ball of Swine, but this guy's different. He's 6.5 feet tall, has earrings, black bristly hair, and Carl hates this guy. I imagine the pig guys that were like the guards for Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
The green.
I imagine
guys.
Do you remember this is so stupid. Do you remember Bebop and Rocksteady from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, I don't. No? I didn't watch a lot of TMNT as a kid.
Oh man, I super did, but I can't remember. So Bebop and Rocksteady, one of them was a rhino and one of them was like a pig.
Oh yes, I know those characters. Tusks. Yeah.
And I don't remember which was which, but one of them was a pig, and that's exactly who came to mind.
Yeah. No, I didn't know their names, but I know the two characters because my cousins had figurines of them, and I saw a couple years ago. Greg and I went and saw the animated TMNT movie that came out. It was a very different art style, but those characters were in there and they were actually really great. But yeah, that also makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, he had he had tusks. He was like a warthog, and he had cool guy sunglasses.
Yeah,
that's who I imagine.
Yeah, the mohawk and the sunglasses. Yeah, yes, very cool.
$100. Yes.
So, the two seats next to Carl and Donut. Two Asian men appear in them. They're other crawlers. Carl can see them. They can see him. They're not on air, but they wave at each other. They are friendly. They're very nice. The two Asian men wave at the other seats that Carl and Donut suspiciously still can't see. And we get a little preview as to why. So we have 6 guests today. 2 stupid, lame guests. Hate this guy. 2 VIP surprise guests, okay, Carl and Donut, and then 2 more surprise guests for our VIPs. Okay, so these 2 are a surprise for Carl and Donut. And I'm already thinking to myself, what 2 crawlers do we know?
Right.
That would be a surprise. We don't know many crawlers, and most of them just descended to the 3rd floor. Our VIPs today are so hot. We are, for the very first time, coming to you live. Oh, so this show is usually pre-recorded. This is different. That's interesting. That is how hard I'm working for you, piglets. We'll start with the lame guests. Watch this shit, piglets. Yeah, this guy sucks. Hate him.
Oh God, I hate him so fucking much. But yeah.
So we see a video of a party of 4 Asian crawlers. The 2 men we see before us in the chairs, a 3rd man and a woman. They're running from like 10 troglodytes, which are like giant lizard monsters, I guess. Very burly. They turn a corner and run into some grub pupas. One hatches into a massive hornet called a Vespa, I believe. It spits acid at their 3rd male party member, who drops his sword screaming. He just shoots him in the face, I think. And more pupas begin to hatch. The troglodytes turn the corner. These people are fucked. And then the scene freezes and the 2 men before us are teleported. Aha. We know how and when in their crawl they got here. And then we get this. This is going to be like one of my few actual clips this episode.
You know what time it is, piglets?
Death Watch! Death Watch!
The crowd screamed.
So we got 2 crawlers here. Their full names are quite the snoutful. Say hello, meat.
Hello? Lee Jun said.
What an asshole.
I don't understand what is happening.
Okay, so let me catch you up since you're too stupid to figure it out. You're on Death Watch, a segment of my show. That means we just plucked you away from certain death. You're welcome. Before, your plight was hopeless. Now you have a chance to survive. But we'll get to that in a second.
So we learn the premise of the show, which, or at least a segment called Death Watch, where they cast a time freeze spell on crawlers who are about to die, pluck them out of their game, and play games with them to give them a chance to survive. It feels very like, do you want to play a game? But worse.
A little bit, yeah. But much worse. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like it's disgusting. It's like dangling hope in front of people, acting magnanimous about it, which is just not. You're not doing. Yeah.
Favor. I'm giving you an opportunity. But right, like they've been plucked away from their loved ones, their group, their team.
Yeah.
It's fucking despicable.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
And so the game, as the Maestro explains it, is I'm going to play clips of other crawlers elsewhere in the dungeon right before they are in mortal peril. And right up until that point, we'll pause it, and you have to decide, do they survive, or you have to guess, do they survive or not?
Right.
So, but then the Maestro cuts off this like premise to like interview them and ask who they are, which
I want to know more about you.
Which actually feels surprisingly personable, and not in what I would expect from this kind of fucking asshole.
No, but I look at it as like a play for time. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like the segment has to be so long. So it's like hey, so tell me about yourself, champ.
Yeah.
But he's not listening to the word that they say. He just wants to kill airtime because it's like, contractually or whatever, like Death Watch has to be so many minutes or parsecs longer, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But this guy's a piece of shit. Like there's nothing personal about him. It's all for show.
It is personal because it also reveals like the emotional stakes of what is about to happen. Yes. Because part of the premise is that for every correct answer they get, they receive a teleport point. They can teleport someone away from the danger. And then it becomes clear, they're going to be pitted against one another. And so he begins to interview them about who are you and what are your relationships with one another. So it becomes clear what the tensions are going to be in those decisions.
Would you do anything for your teammate?
Mm-hmm. Would you do anything to save her? So
yeah, exactly.
One of them is named Zhang, and one is Li Jun, and then the woman is Li Na, Li Jun's sister. Zhang is a coworker of Li Jun's, and Li Na is like a sister to him. And the person who got spat on is their boss, their manager.
Yeah.
And so Maestro gets to it after we learn all this. So if you were forced to choose between saving him and saving Li Na, you'd pick the girl, right? And Zhang looks at him, refusing to answer. And he just goes like, well, you might not have to choose. And he explains the game. Right. They have 4 clips, basically one per person. So if they got all of them right, they could all survive. But is that going to happen? Probably not. Carl is disgusted.
This is happening, though. Yeah,
Carl is disgusted,
infuriated.
And this is Carl. This is the same Carl who wants to keep his head down, not paint a target on his back, and stay under the radar of these major corporations and other forces at work. But Carl cannot stand the sight of oppression and bullies, and that overrides it overrides his sense of self-preservation. He says, fuck this, stands up, starts to walk away. Mind you, no one can see him. This is beyond the pale. Fuck this guy. And he begins to climb over the table that is in front of him in the trailer that he can't see.
He can't see the end of it. So he's just feeling around.
Yeah, he's feeling around trying to leave. And then the bot, Max 55, appears, except it's an orc voice that comes through. Get back in your seat, Crawler. You're scheduled to be on screen for after this segment. The show is being tunneled live. We do not have time for your tantrums. Go fuck yourself, I said. You are ordered to sit, the voice said. We have paid the appearance fee, and you will participate in the program. If you refuse, we are authorized to drop you into the ocean, drowning you both. So this guy's pointing out, like, we have a lot of authority that Boren gives us. You are a monkey dance, or we'll kill you. Bullshit, I said. You're not Borent, and you're not the Syndicate. There's no way they'd authorize that. We are not participating in this cruelty. Carl's calling their bluff. He thinks that I'm a big enough deal. You know, maybe you could do that to other crawlers, but I am one of the most popular I'm bringing in the views, motherfucker.
He knows what's up. He knows Audette has already secured her position and that she's the most popular. He's like, go ahead, fucking do it. I love Carl so much.
And then Mukla, who they've only, I think, been texting with, but it's also unclear if her voice projects like as a text to speech. I think it does, because they recognize her voice. And I think also when Zev was like giving her like director's notes on how he should act, he made a comment about like her voice being in his head and it being weird. Anyway, Mukla hops on and is like, this is not a bluff. Do it or there will be consequences. And Carl says, I'll do as many shows as you want, but not this one. Mukla repeats, no, you must do this. There is no time. This is not a bluff. And we hear Carl's mantra, you will not break me. So he responds, as long as I don't talk shit about you guys, will there be consequences? As long as I participate, I mean. There's a pause. They have paid for your appearance, nothing else. All right, I said, tell them we want on the show now, before the Death Watch segment ends. Without waiting for an answer, he returns to his seat, and the holo resumes. And then he turns to Donut. I'm the one who talks this time. And I think to myself, from Breaking Bad, I am the one who knocks.
I am the one who knocks.
This is just like emotionally up there. We love to watch Carl get angry about shit and make stupid decisions and not have time to strategize.
Carl's at his best when he is like, well, maybe not his best, but is pretty close when he's like absolutely furious and he's calling people out on their shit, because he knows the fastest way to get someone off their game is to infuriate them, because they can't strategize either if they are high in their emotions. So that's exactly. Oh, I love him so much.
Carl's instincts in a lot of situations, both like against monsters, like especially boss rooms when they're in the shit, like we will see soon, But also here in this situation, his instinct is to charge at the threat and to not back up. And it's really interesting. It actually kind of reminds me when I was in undergrad in college, I played in like Humans versus Zombies, which was basically like like a big campus wide game of tag over the course of a week. And when I was a zombie, I did very well in the first season I played in. But then I became a zombie very early and the first time I played it. But then the second time I played it, I tried to stay human as long as I could. And you get to use like marshmallows and socks and Nerf blasters and stuff. And I found that a lot of the strategies I used, which were to get a bunch of other zombies, surround people and charge them because they can't shoot everyone around them. My instinct was pick one person, run at them and shoot them so that they're stunned and cannot tag you and just get away. And it was basically like charge in one direction. Don't wait for them to swamp you. And that's what Carl's doing.
Yep.
So
you devious bastard. I love you, Nik.
It's great. We come back in, they have had 2 correct answers and 2 incorrect answers. The game is winding down. They are being forced to decide, who are you going to teleport? I need a decision or nobody gets saved. He smiles wickedly. We die together, says Zhang. We're getting like some their culture coming through, like that pride and all or nothing mentality. And like that pro-social kind of value. And then Zhang's like, no, wait, save Li Jun and Li Na. So he like loses his composure and becomes practical. It's a very sweet and interesting, quick characterization. And then Maestro, we can see that Maestro is being told that Carl's coming on, looks pissed, but then smiles. We can tell he's very clever. Like he is willing and able to pivot. So like it keeps us on our toes and not like Carl is in complete control here. And then he begins to play off this turn of events like it was his idea. We're going to do something a little different, piglets. Our VIP guests have been watching backstage and it seems they have something to say. We get a notice that they're going to be on air in 10 seconds. Okay, piglets, my next 2 guests need no introduction, blah, blah, blah. They were in a room with some old fucks. Are they going to escape from the elemental? Spoiler alert, they just got out. So the viewers haven't seen this unless they've been watching Carl live. So we were going to show you those crazy assholes, the clip that how they got free. But since they want to suck on it so bad, we're going to bring them on early. Glurp, glurp. Glurp, glurp, says the audience. And then we get the signal, you are now on air. So we can see them. Maestro continues to introduce them, bringing up things like how their battle with the elemental is the most watched second floor battle in Dungeon Crawler World history, which is incredible. Explains the astronomical numbers. And he's like mentioning other accolades of theirs while talking down to them and like just say like, you know,
he's trying to assert his authority and his dominance over them because they're lowly crawlers and he's a talk show host who's a part of this, you know, other faction and conglomerate or whatever. Like, so,
but he's just not treating them with dignity or respect like at least Audette would do, even though this entire premise of this book doesn't treat these crawlers with respect and dignity.
No, that's the whole point. But still,
and so Carl cuts him off. We want in on the game. Oh, well, that's not how this works. Carl cuts him off again. Let them use the points to teleport Donut and I there. And the crowd goes wild, which is great for Carl and not great for the Maestro. He starts to respond. Carl interrupts again. No, you listen to me, pork boy. Fuck the rules. And he like says this to the crowd. They go even wilder. Glurp, glurp. The Maestro did not like his audience glurping for someone else. I recognize that look on his face of fulminating under the surface rage. I felt a deep satisfaction at that. I didn't know if this was a good idea or an incredibly dumb one, but I felt the urge to keep poking at him.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you could see him unraveling. Absolutely, yes.
The maestro was a bully with an audience. My plan, hiss him off. Carl knows he can't really do much to this guy other than to try and throw him off, to weaken him in the eyes of the galaxy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so basically
he has a quick sidebar while the maestro is like, puffing his chest up, and he's like, and he quickly turns to Li Jun and his companion, and he's like, "Hey, fucking run at the monsters because they're like stupid and they don't know, and they're gonna go for the Vespas that are behind you, and they don't care, they don't know. Fucking run past them, get out of there as fast as you can."
Right.
Because he can kind of see like where it's heading, because he knows that the only way for the maestro to like reassert his dominance in this moment is to be like, "Fuck you, you can't help them," and then send them back to what is quote unquote certain death.
Right.
To send them back into that situation, to like to transport them with their two transport points, and be like, "Fuck you, I'm in control here." But by giving them that heads up, he's basically saying like, "Hey, fuck you, nobody has to die. Just be smarter about it. Like, run past them. These two, mobs will fight one another while you guys escape."
And that's exactly what happens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Carl actually has quite a few other thoughts briefly in this moment, or as he's kind of like Sherlock Holmesing the entire situation.
He does.
Which is really incredible. He's very clever. But yeah, he yells at them to like run towards the troglodyte, run towards the one zombie. This is your way out. Charge. Yeah. They do it. They get out. The audience is kind of like, "Oh, our violence got denied." But Carl, so proud, looks at Maestro and just says, "Glurp on that motherfucker." And that's how we end the chapter. Yeah. Some other things that start going through Carl's head, which I think are really important and speak to kind of how he is well suited to kind of analyze these bigger, not higher stakes, but like, not within the dungeon, but kind of like the galactic community politics. He is capable of like gleaning what's going on. So he thinks of that old adage, bullies will back down when stood up to. But then he said his lived experiences, no, they won't. They will only back down if you are stronger to them and you stand up to them.
Bigger than them. Yeah, exactly.
So Carl knows that he needs to hit their pocketbooks, because basically he needs to make money the bully, make the audience the bully, make another corporation and get their interests to align in a way that hurts the people that he wants to hurt. Find someone else stronger than him to be his champion. Induce others with money and with emotion to act towards his interest. So Carl suspects that because the maestro does, and this production company doesn't own the trailer, that they are renting them. And because of their impressive fee cost, that this production might have overextended themselves financially to get Donut and him on. And so that's why he's trying to push the maestro, is to get him to fuck up and kind of like confuse his audience and get the audience on Carl's side. And basically to just make him look bad. And Carl's basically trying to induce someone stronger to fuck up with this guy and deal with him. And so, that's the end of the chapter. But we roll right into the rest of this in chapter 43. The maestro, after the whole situation with the Asian party runs its course, and there's kind of like a lull in the audience's energy, the maestro is like, "Okay, I'll show you how Carl and Donut beat the rage elemental." So they start watching that clip. And Carl and Donut have a little check-in. "I hate when you get that angry. Don't worry, Donut, it's a performance to get him angry." Well, it worked. He hates us. And Carl starts to tell Donut, like, "Well, we have more to get through. I think I know who's in those seats over there." And Donut keeps interrupting him to see, "Oh, it's Bee and Ferdinand." Or, "Oh, it's Bee and her new boyfriend." And he's like, no, stop. And then the maestro interjects while the clip is playing and basically tells them like, tries to put Carl in his place. This is my show. Learn your place.
Yeah.
And then he starts throwing out all this like world building stuff that is like basically him like throwing his like name around.
His princehood around, exactly.
Which helps us learn a lot about the world and what's going on. It helps Carl and Donut, and has the added effect of actually making Carl feel like he is in over his head. He says, my family has a long history with the dungeon. We were there when it was created. We are of gods and royalty. That we're getting poked at with gods are a factor again. If you pukes make it to the 9th floor, you'll learn all about what my family can do. Oh, so there's participation by governments, corporations, on future floors. Carl is confused by this, and their only reference to stuff going on with like gods and royalty is the Blood Sultanate, the crown of the sepsis whore that Donut is wearing. So he asks, like, are you a member of the Blood Sultanate? He laughs in Carl's face. Do I look like a Naga to you? This is another moment where
part of world building. So we know that they're like snakes, right? We know they're snake people. All right.
Yeah. Yep. But it also like puts Carl on the back foot. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about, you idiot.
Yep.
My family is Skull Clan. We've been victorious 6 times out of the last 10 faction wars. Okay. Faction wars are a part of floor 9, apparently. We've been in the top 3 every time. The pitiful Blood Sultanate is almost always the first of the 9 to get eliminated. Okay. So there's 9 groups that always participate. Okay, so this whole Blood Sultanate thing where it's like only one of you is allowed to descend beyond the 9th floor. Okay, well, and then they always die anyway. Well, this fucking sucks for Donut. You idiots have been dead since the moment that she put on that crown. Oh, so we are getting a gut punch in facts and fiction about what's going to happen in the future dungeon. Carl asks, will you be on the 9th floor? I will. I was of age last crawl, but the Squim conglomerate, who ran the last crawl, doesn't run faction wars or celestial ascendancy. Okay, there's also celestial ascendancy. Great. A god thing happens as well. Wonderful. I will be the war leader of Skull Clan. Okay, this is a lot. We don't know what this means, but we're getting pieces. We're getting stuff that Matt Dinniman wants us to sink our teeth into and hold on and buy the next book for.
Yes, exactly.
It's great writing. It's really clever. And then the clip ends. And the maestro begins to try and bamboozle Carl with his guests. And Matt Dinniman also tries to bamboozle us in the style of a Tarantino flashback with a slow burn up to what we see. And what I mean by that is the maestro's like, do you know who our guests are? Hi, Frank. Hi, Maggie. I see you didn't find the present I left you. Too bad. And at that, Maestro smiles and we go, oh, uh-oh, did we just step into a trap? And we see it is Frank and Maggie. And we start to roll clips of their journey. And it starts with a scene of them in like after a battle or something. There's fire and blood everywhere. Frank is injured,
all busted up,
and there's a teenage girl with them who's like crying. And we see scenes of her. Before that, we see scenes of them like fighting to survive. Maggie telling this teenage girl that she needs to kill and hugging, and this girl calls Maggie mom. And our heart sinks. Oh fuck, they're not totally villainous. They have family. They have people they care about. They have redeemable qualities. And then we get the scene where the daughter's very injured. Mom, it hurts, she says. I know, baby, says Maggie, as Maggie chokes her daughter to death.
Yep.
And wails. And we feel for Maggie. Like, what mother wouldn't feel pain like that?
It's so much in such a short amount of time. You're like, holy fuck.
But we have no context. We don't know why we're being shown this other than to make us feel for Maggie and Frank, I guess, and definitely for whoever this girl is. And we see more clips of her and them like going through the dungeon and her not wanting to kill monsters and not wanting to kill other crawlers that Frank and Maggie are ambushing and hunting. In fact, this daughter, Yvette, we learn her name is screaming at them to stop. And Maggie putting a gun in her hand and telling her to shoot a crawler who's wounded but not dead yet. And Yvette refusing.
We also get a clip of them in their safe room for the first time going through the tutorial, and their tutorial guide member, like their tutorial guild member, like the way that Mordecai is for Carl and Donut, saying like, hey, the only way you can get ahead in this game is if you kill other crawlers. So that's the fastest way to progress, and that's the only way you're going to survive. Yeah. So like, you know, like it really is the luck of the draw, because like what would have happened if Carl and Donut had happened upon this same guild member, and then they went on this path thinking like, hey, this is the only way. This is what they told us. Although I do have my suspicions that Carl would have definitely, you know, pushed against that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, these two were susceptible to that. They were like, hey, this is what our guild member told us. We have to kill other crawlers. Just like Mordecai said, hey, the only way that you're really going to get ahead is through, you know, well, he didn't tell them anything at first because he was fucking mad. They got woken up and he was drunk. But we find out from Odette, hey, it's about views. It's about sponsorship. It's about blah, blah. So like they were led down a bad path. Yeah. Where Carl and Donut, not necessarily a great path, but a better one with honest people who were at some point or another crawlers. I don't know if Frank and Maggie's guild member or guide was ever a crawler or if they're something else. That's never explained to us, but like you can see how it went bad, like right from the fucking beginning. For them. Yeah. I mean, Absolutely. It went bad for most people. I think the Meadowlarks, we learned like some of the advice that the Meadowlark team got from their advisor was not great either. Not great. There is a lot in all of these chapters that really remind us at the end of this book that going into the rest of the dungeon, Carl and Donut have gotten very lucky with a lot of the kind of like support and advice that they've gotten. And a lot of that they've gotten through luck, you know, from Odette, from landing with Mordecai, even though he's a drunk and a slob, like he has good advice for them. You know, exactly. Yeah. The AI liking Carl's feet. He likes his feet anyway.
Some of the skills and items that they find wind up being really, really lucky.
Which comes in very handy in the next chapter.
Just turning Donut alone into a full-fledged crawler, that was the luckiest fucking thing.
The biggest. Yes, exactly.
But also, was it luck or was it the AI liking Carl? Anyway.
I mean, like, well, yeah.
So we'll talk more about it.
There's a whole lot. Yeah.
But so we get this weird scene that Tarantino would love to do. It show us like Yvette dying in the aftermath of some event, and we don't understand it. And then we see their journey. We watch them hunting. We see their interaction with Rebecca W., the naked woman Carl found that we learned had been killed by Frank. We learned that she's just another crawler that had a party. They were not traffickers like Frank told us. That was bullshit. We see Maggie with a ring of stealth that creates a like static field that as long as they're in it, they cannot be seen on the map. This is really important because Carl learns how they didn't see Maggie in the bathroom of the...
And Yvette,
and the daughter, we learn. So they're in the bathroom when Frank finds them. We see them get frozen trying to attack Carl in the safe room. We watch Carl lay the trap in the rat with the dynamite. And as this is playing out, the clip of their interaction with the added information that Yvette was there, it starts to dawn on Carl. Oh, I know how Yvette got injured. I know how Frank got injured. And he thinks back, I see you didn't find the present I left for you. And when Maestro smiled at that, now we know why he's smiling.
Yes.
They did find it. We watch Frank find the rat. Maggie yells not to touch it. Frank pulls out the dynamite. It goes off. He loses his hand or hands, I think.
Just one hand.
Just one hand. And Yvette becomes mortally wounded. And then she kills her daughter because like she's not gonna make it. Or if she did, she would be like Audette, she would be missing pieces of herself.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Maggie and Frank appear at present now.
Yes.
Frank looks hollowed out. He looks like dead inside. So his like spark, his fire seems a bit gone. But all of that seems to have poured into Maggie, who is staring daggers at Carl. Carl taunts her with questions. She lunges at him with a magic dagger. He doesn't flinch because he knows that she's not physically present with him. And Frank whispers something to Maggie, but she pushes him away. So their dynamic has changed. Frank has changed. Frank's fire at him, it seems to be gone. He does not seem interested in pursuing this, but Maggie has doubled down. Carl says to them, I'm sorry what happened to your kid, but fuck you. Fuck you both. She deserved better. We all would have been stronger together. Your game guide is a piece of shit. So he's like passing around blame. Like, I'm sorry, she didn't deserve that. It's your fault. And if it's not your fault, it's your guide's fault. And it's all your fault.
But also, like, big props to Carl in this moment. Truly, because, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I take on blame that is not deserved by me constantly as a human being. Like, I'm like, oh no, I can't believe that happened. I should have done blah, blah. But like, Carl's just trying to survive. He's not placing blame where blame isn't deserved.
Right.
Like, 1. 2, he is like laser focused. Like, other humans, while they might be trying to kill me, they're not my main enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he is keeping that in the back of his head.
Yes, always. So like, props to Carl for that. Like, for not being like, oh no, woe is me. It's like, no, motherfucker. Yeah. Like, the game was set up this way.
He sees every crawler as a victim of the crawl.
Absolutely,
like,
yes.
I'm sorry what happened to your kid. I'm sorry that she got put in this situation. I'm sorry that my actions led to her death. But part of this is your fault. And like, because you pursued me, that happened. That was your choice to come after me. And I defended myself. You know, we have a choice. We as crawlers can unite and be better at this.
Yes.
And you know, you are victims of your game guide as well. So this is just a very complex emotional reaction of like sympathy and like justice and... But
also trying to point the finger back at like the real fucking villain.
Yeah, because ultimately he still is going to have to protect himself against these people because Maggie growls, I'm going to find you and I'm going to watch you die. You and the fucking cat. Donut retorts to this being a showman, which gets the crowd laughing. She's like, well, I didn't have anything to do with this. And they're like, ha ha ha.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, she reads the crowd. She's on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Carl tries to also steal Maestro's thunder. He's like, okay, all right. Like we've seen each other. Can I go now? And Maestro refuses and tries to interview them. And all 4 crawlers are having none of it except Donut, who basically like doesn't respond to Maestro, but responds to the audience and makes wisecracks, kind of poking at Maestro and the situation. And he gets frustrated. Maestro gets frustrated. And then he gets one of his like confident looks again and then offers them parting gifts. This is one of the reasons they came on was for the gifts, the goodie bag. The first one is a gift for just Carl. It's a pair of tactical boots, the same ones he wore when he was on active duty. It's ironic. It is funny. It's a jab at Carl, and he just simply says, thanks, I'm not going to wear them. He says, I love them. I hope they weren't too expensive, which is a jab at the cost of the show. But he internally is like, I'm not going to wear these. There's too much going on with my feet and my stats with my feet.
Exactly.
I have gear for my feet. I'm not wearing these. And then he turns to Frank. And Maestro gives him a he says, you have a find crawler skill. Here is a legendary skill potion from my clan's stock. This is even more expensive. It will bring your find crawler skill to level 15 with the right class. If you wait until you pick your class, you could get it up to level 20. Because I know you want to find a crawler. That one.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of underwhelming response from the audience who don't really understand this. There's a glurp glurp, but I think Maestro feels very self-satisfied in this now that Carl is like made himself an enemy of Maestro. But Carl says, we won't see you on the show again, Pork Boy, but we will see you on the 9th floor to kick your ass all over again. And the crowd roars. He looks at Frank and Maggie. Maggie clutches the potion and smiles. Ugh. It gives me the shivers. And they leave. That's the end of the interview. And these two chapters are so good. They're so dense and rich. We get like a payoff, or not a payoff, but we get even more of the Maggie Frank situation. It's not over. Yeah. We will see them again. We get this promise. Like we have all this time on the page. There's an item invested in this. This asshole invested a bunch of money to bring these two together because he thinks it'll get him views, which will make him more money.
It'll pay out eventually. We don't know when, but we know they're coming for them. And that's all that we need to know at this point.
Yeah. And so there's all these new dynamics and reinvestment in these plots, but it also does like this work of like continuing to expand our understanding of what's going on with all the galactic players. We get this Skull Empire, but it gets personified as Maestro, and he is made an enemy. And this is just a great way to write a faction as an antagonist. Carl is now pissed off a government, which is really bad. But it's like it's beef between him and this guy. And Matt Dinniman can decide if he's like, okay, well, it's a royal family. So, there's versions of this where he writes them as like wanting to keep their distance until the 9th floor, and then support their war chief in the game, or maybe they all get involved really intensely. We don't know, and we'll see.
We don't know. We just know that it's something that we'll see on the 9th floor, and we won't learn about that until they tell us that we're ready to. Yeah. So he's just tucking that shit away at the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Like he does.
I'm also thinking about like, okay, if the show is over committed financially, can the royal family afford to fuck with Carl along the way until the 9th floor? Because they could pour more. Like we know sponsorships are coming. They could invest in Frank and Maggie and help them out along the way even more.
Oh, that's so absolutely a possibility. So like, but we don't know. This is very. Not exactly dissuaded, but like we learn about this in the next chapter whenever they have their debrief with a very special board member, Zev.
Yes.
Who makes a reappearance and Donut obviously very worried about Zev, her bestie boo, who reappears and is like, hey, let's do a debrief. That was fine. So I wasn't sure what you wanted to talk about with this next one.
Yes. Yeah. So there's some good bits here in chapter 44. We get another report on where their views and followers and favorites are at. Their views have increased 300 billion to 1.7 trillion. Their followers have increased by another 100 billion, and their favorites have doubled to 42 billion. They're like half a day ago they had less than 1 billion favorites, and now they have 42 billion. It's astronomical,
exponential, like big time. Yeah, Donut's shivering.
Yeah. So Mukla does not debrief with them. Donut mentions to Carl, I'm glad Yvette didn't die immediately in the explosion. Otherwise, you would have gotten credit for killing her, an innocent. And I think it's important that Donut is also like feeling that sense of justice and responsibility and like guilt, and can at least connect with Carl in it a bit, even if she doesn't fully get it. But she's also pointing out the practical point, which is he doesn't have a player killer skull on him, which was one of the things he was worried about when he laid the trap for Frank. And I think it would have felt even worse if he had killed Yvette versus if he had actually killed 100%. Frank. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. They have a moment where they start to worry about the blood tiara, or the blood sultanate and her tiara, and floor 9. Donut reveals that she heard Mordecai's comment that he should leave her. Again, that was very early in their relationship, so I don't think Mordecai was thinking practically as a tutorial guild guide.
But this is also one of those moments where it's like when we think Donut's not paying attention and Donut is self-obsessed, that she's listening to everything. Yeah. She is like a toddler. She is like a little kid because she hears everything. She's absorbing all of it.
Yeah. So Carl responds, let's worry about it later. Like, there's no sense worrying about it now. We have a lot to learn still. We have a lot of time until then, hopefully. Let's get some sleep.
Yeah.
So they do. And they wake up to the next recap episode, which again is going to play their escape from the elemental, because it's like all the viewers are still catching up and all of the crawlers are still catching up on the events. They learned that the African militia group, Le Mouvement, was wiped out by a city boss. One guy who had gotten left out is the only one to survive of that entire group. Yes. Lucia Marr with her 2 dogs is killing the Vespas. We learn and see that she has a magic shield protecting her, so she is getting hitted out. Hopefully that's a good thing. Maybe she'll be an ally. Hopefully we don't have to deal with her as an enemy.
I mean, she's very powerful, so like that would be wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
We watch Carl and Donut deal with the elemental. We get another perspective, much like when they first encountered the elemental and Carl threw the bomb outside the door as they escaped. They didn't know how much damage they did with that. They actually did about a quarter of its damage, and it's held with one bomb. When the elemental goes down the stairwell with a bunch of other explosions, its health almost hit 0. They almost actually killed it before it died to the other dungeon mechanics.
This is one of those things like where I wonder if it was falsely inflated.
Well,
I really do.
Carl thinks about that.
Did they almost kill it?
He thinks that the monster was weak for its level, and it probably has an on-death trigger that, like a trap that would trigger. Yes. He's like, maybe it would have exploded. Maybe it would have split into a bunch of little elementals. Like, he has no idea, and suspects that they should not try and abuse the P mechanic to test this out, because it will probably backfire.
Obviously they were so successful. Like, it seemed like it was gonna work. Like, why wouldn't I try again? But Carl's not a fucking idiot. So.
And Carl thinks that they're showing that on the recap to incentivize other crawlers to try and summon one and try and kill it as a trap. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of killing crawlers, the crawler count is below 1 million for the first time, 990,303. And Carl has like an emotional beat where he feels like he's losing his humanity every time he sees the clock go down. It reminds me of like the first or second episode of Battlestar Galactica, the rebooted show, where the president has like a whiteboard with the number of humans alive in the fleet. And the number is constantly ticking down throughout the series. And then there's like one episode with a birth where the number goes up for the first time. And the only time you see that number go up on the whiteboard in the entire series. It's very emotional.
I know. It is. Oh my God. I love that show so much. Thank you for
so good.
referencing it. That was a good episode.
There is the announcement from Cascadia. Everything's running smoothly. The game guides can now talk about the third floor, race and class selection, etc. Be sure to learn about it before descending. Whoops, Meadowlark. There is a bunch of nerfs to the Brindle Grubs and the Hornets. Apparently they're too strong. Fuck. There's a new tab in Carl's interface. Creator fees. The Carl's Juggo Boom has racked 4 kills by other crawlers. He has 4 coins he can redeem. There's a button to cash it out. And then there's little tiny text that says there is a fee for cashing out. It is 2 coins plus 25% of whatever you're redeeming. And Carl's like, what the fuck? If I cash out for these 4 kills, I'd get 1 coin out of 4.
Amazing.
Yep. It's awful. It's awful. The fees. So
gotta make money somehow.
They start, Donut asks, so do we go on the run from Maggie and Frank? No. Now that we understand how our stealth works, we can actually prepare. And it's not as bad as we suspected, because her field, like Carl's shield, is stationary once cast. She cannot move with it. So like he doesn't have to worry about them being permanently stealthed on the map. And then they're interrupted with a admin presence warning. Zev appears. She's here to debrief. Donut is very excited and worried about her, asks if she's okay. She explains, yeah, the AI censured me for warning you all. My representative appealed the decision. And this is such an interesting line. So the AI makes decisions. Okay, I guess that makes sense. There's a lot happening that Borant can't keep up with. She has someone who represents her. She like unionized or something. And there's an appeals process. And I remember reading this and wondering, so if the AI makes decisions about crawlers, can they appeal? There seems to be like a bureaucracy. Like this whole dungeon crawl is an appeal of the seizure of the planet. So why wouldn't they be able to?
Anyway, definitely.
How would they do that? Would they have to pay for it? Probably. Do they have easy access to appeals? Probably not. The system's designed to fuck them over, but it's an interesting thought. My record is clean now, but the AI is watching me, so I'll have to be careful. So this is Matt Dinniman, like limiting his own, I wrote Zev Deus Machina. Like that like
makes sense.
Her ability to help them. He's like, I'm not gonna be able to do this all the time. I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore, in fact, unless there will be an even more severe consequence. There is no getting away with this in the future.
Right.
Carl and Donut ask, are we in trouble for that interview? We went off the rails. We did ask, do we have free speech as long as we don't talk about Borant and the Syndicate? No, you're not in trouble. And in fact, Borant is quite pleased with your
Oh yeah.
presentation. She says the politics regarding all of this is too complicated to begin to explain. However, that particular production, while technically private, is owned and operated by a prince of a faction that is allied with another faction that is at odds with Borant.
There you go.
All of it would make your head...
My enemy's enemy is my friend.
The friend of my enemy's enemy...
Yeah, I don't know.
It's complicated because Carl now hates Maestro, who is allied to someone who hates Borant, who is also his enemy. So he's made enemies of people who hate each other.
Plural. Yes, absolutely.
Why did you all book us with them? Mukta shouldn't have. And she explains why Mukta shouldn't have, and I don't really quite understand. I don't think it's important. It didn't satisfy me, but it was weird.
Fair enough.
She says Borant is not allowed to discriminate against syndicate member production companies. Okay, that makes sense. Especially when companies are tied to production sponsors. Okay, that makes sense. This is monitored very closely by the AI. Anything to do with money is watched carefully, especially this season. So that Maestro asshole is a prince? I asked. No wonder he's such a cheese dick. I didn't realize he was royalty. I assumed the show didn't have very much money. He is a prince. But that production is owned by his older brother, Crown Prince Stalwart. I think their father gives them a small stipend to make the show, probably to keep them busy. Okay, so they're trust fund babies running
Exactly.
a podcast
With their allowance. Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, he's looking at it like, okay, so they're using their allowance money to like run this show. They're not that much of a
to get
threat,
involved
but they're
with
still a threat.
They're involved with the crawl probably because they're really excited to kill people during the faction wars or whatever, and this is just what they do in the off season or in the build up to that. The Tusklings are the rulers of the Orcish supremacy. Stalwart and Maestro are princes of the Skull Empire. That's a whole difference. Oh, you're right. Sorry, they're talking about this because Carl asked about the difference between orcs and Tusklings. The Orcish supremacy are ruled by the Tusklings, which is different than the orcs or the Skull Empire. The Orcish supremacy is a child with a lemonade stand, while the Skull Empire is a Walmart corporation, is basically her analogy. It's one of the largest...
She makes the distinction, too, that they're from different systems.
Yes.
Which I take to mean, orcs, like,
Orcs and Tusklings might have been seeded similarly, but like how Adet is different, or no, maybe it is completely different. Kind of how like there's fish people that are not Kuatin. They're a different species, but similar.
And there are humanoid species that are not humans.
Correct.
Like they definitely have a common ancestor, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Carl goes on to ask about the 9th floor and the faction wars. Zev says that every third floor is linked in a way that will soon become clear. She says 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 all come into existence at the same time. You can only visit them in the order of the dungeon, but there is a game within a game happening with or without the crawlers. So there's a bunch of other shit happening that is basically like a bunch of governments and corporations playing their own little like faction wars, their own little like war games.
I imagine it
that intersects with the dungeon.
I imagine it like what is it, like the deadliest catch or like the deadliest hunt or whatever it's called, like where they're hunting man, but like it's all of
the most dangerous game.
The most dangerous. Thank you. I could not think of the name of it. So it's like they're all in. Like, let's imagine that there's 16 or 18 of these other government factions that want to like be a part of the 9th floor, but we've learned from the Maestro that only 9 can go forward. So then it's like they have to eliminate one another one by one, and whatever that looks like, we don't know. We don't get a view into that, but we know that they're competing with one another to get the honor of being a part of this 9th floor in the faction wars.
Yeah.
So like big stuff.
And they're probably doing it because there's a lot of money involved, and or a lot of fun.
Yeah, that too.
And it becomes clear that like, okay, so if these factions are all at odds with one another, and one of them is at odds with Borant, that strategy of pitting them against one another could work, and there might be more, like even more opportunities than we expected to, leverage them against one another. Carl asks, is it possible that all the crawlers die before the 9th floor? And Zev says that probably won't happen. It has never happened. And then
a lot of it happens on the 9th floor, but never before then.
Right.
How reassuring.
Yeah, how reassuring. So then Zev begins to talk to them about like building up their character. She's like, the Meadowlark storyline is complete. We need to wait a few days before your next arc. The Maggie and Frank storyline is a tired one, like, crawlers versus crawlers hunting one another. It's not that exciting to viewers. And people don't think that Maggie will survive to find you. That's very interesting. Like, we're worried about Maggie, but then Zev is almost like trying to reassure us that like, oh, because of like how the dungeon is laid out, you might not have even run into her before she dies. Which is kind of like, it's reassuring, but we also know Matt Dinniman is pouring time into this. It's not like it is going to happen. Unless something he can like pay it off in a dramatically interesting way.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that could look like.
Why would you have their deaths off screen, so to speak, or off page.
Right.
When you could do it on page.
Yeah.
And have big emotional payout.
Yeah.
There's anyway. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, and then she goes on to say, yeah, and your beef with Maestro is much more interesting than all of that anyway, especially after that pork boy snick. And we go, a what? And Zev introduces Donut to the world of fan fiction and that it exists for Gossip Girl on the internet. And Donut loses her goddamn mind. And a snick is basically a fan fiction video, which it's not that they're all explicit, but they can be, like the one of Carl and the Maestro, where Carl has the upper hand. And that is all Zev says about it. And our minds begin to race. And all of the pictures that we all make fun of Shannon having, like all the front pages of all her Minotaur smut.
100% yes. Absolutely. I want to see this Nick in the most. I can't tell you. I would give you all of the money in my bank account right now to watch this Nick. Yes. 100%. Yes.
So there's a sex tape out there. Nobody knows where it came from. Some people think it's real. And she says it's graphic and humiliating, and the Skull Empire's response is going to be intense. Oh no. So I was just saying how, like, okay, the Skull Empire might be like, no, this is the prince's problem. We'll let him, have his beef with Carl. We're not going to get involved. Nope. This has become a bigger deal. This is a, embarrassment to the royal family. There is going to be a response. It will be intense. And this is just like painting more pictures of like how the governments are going to get really involved in this, and they're very powerful, but also like public opinion is a big part of it too. And even though they are a royal government of a system, that doesn't stop people from being shitty internet culture memers and writing disgusting smut.
If you respond negatively to an insult in such a way where it makes it very clear that you are unhappy with this insult, oh my God, that's your name forever until you die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you have to rise above and be like, hey, no, that's cool. No sweat off my back, no sweat off my nose, whatever. I don't care. You can call me Pork Boy or, Carl's little piggy, or you can call me whatever you want. It's fine. It doesn't mean anything to me, but but Carl's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
This is trouble.
I think this also illustrates like almost no government or corporation is beyond the court of public opinion. And so that will be important going forward, is like the views are king. The public opinion is king.
It is everything.
Next to the syndicate, of course.
Sure.
So all this to say, like, Borant is happy with you in your appearance, even though you think it went wrong. You made a huge enemy, which is really bad, but actually we're pleased with you right now, which is kind of nice.
Good job.
She says your appearance fee has doubled. It is now on par with Lucia Marr. Oh, interesting. I thought that because their views were so high, theirs would have been the highest already, but apparently not. Because Lucia is the highest level player, I assume, and the most kitted out. I guess it's like your gear level and player level.
She's more interesting.
Dictate that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's more interesting than Carl and Donut because she's a child, essentially, just killing her way through the fucking dungeon with 2 dogs.
Yep.
And she is a loose fucking cannon based on what we've seen so far in the show. She is crazy.
Yeah.
That's killing everybody. So so her appearance fee would understandably be incredibly high because everybody wants to talk to this bitch. I want to talk to this bitch. So I get it.
And she's the most set up to survive, which it means that she's a good investment. For sponsorship and for views and shows and all that.
100%.
So
absolutely.
Zev
investment
finishes up.
A great way to look at it.
Zev finishes up saying, like, as long as you don't disparage Boren to the party or the syndicate, keep it up. Good job. Other governments are fair game. You can disparage them all you want. There's nothing any of them can do to you until the sixth floor anyway, which I don't think is necessarily true. They can throw their money at other players. And like, you know what? Something I didn't mention, the Deathwatch show, they can pay to freeze a combat. That's like interfering with the dungeon directly, which I find interesting. But it makes sense if they can pay. If they are willing to pay for it, why not? Why wouldn't they why wouldn't Boren allow them to do that? But it does seem dishonest.
You have to imagine low-level players, like their levels were lower than Carl and Donut, in a situation that seemed on face value that they were not going to survive.
That's true.
So at the moment that they were distracted, it was like, okay, who gives a shit about these low-level fucks? Like, whatever. We
don't learn about, like, is that allowed under certain conditions? Does the AI make a decision that it's allowed? There's nothing clear made, but it is clear that based on the outcome, they all survived. It was not a guaranteed loss. Maybe they didn't have Carl's plan, but if it had occurred to one of them, they could have all gotten out even without the interference. We don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I guess maybe according to the dungeon's rules, it was a wash, or it was a neutral outcome.
Yeah.
Like nothing really gained, but nothing was lost either.
Right. So I just find that that ability for a private, like not even a corporation or a government, but like or sponsor, but a show to be able to pay to interfere, kind of was very icky.
Well, and at this point too, we don't know if it was their first appearance on a show or not. Yeah. If they were told ahead of time about whether or not they were going to be pulled from a battle or mid whatever for an interview. Like, we don't know. We don't know what the terms and conditions were that were outlined ahead of time. We just don't know.
Yeah. All right. So Zev leaves. Their UI comes back on. Their followers have increased even more. It's disgusting. And Carl feels like under a microscope. And as they assume the stream comes back online, the chapter ends with Donut saying, "Carl, darling, I can't believe you hooked up with that guy," she said loudly. He sure squealed a lot, though, as she cackles down the hallway. God damn it, Donut, we get, which is perfect. We move into chapter 45. They're back in the Kobold neighborhood. We get a brief paragraph about Donuts. As they're moving in, there's loud music playing from the boss room that's getting louder and louder. They can barely hear themselves think as they get close. And it's playing Oasis songs, which Donut is disgusted by.
No, Donut Oasis. They're playing something.
They're playing something else that she compares. You said.
Sure. So like they're playing shitty music that is like basically like crappy EDM to Donut. She's like, this is garbage. Why can't they play Oasis? And he's like, where the hell how do you even know about Oasis? We only listen to shitty country music. And she's like, she's like, oh yeah, I know, it's terrible. So like we don't know where Donut's love of Oasis comes from, but it is deep and abiding.
It is.
And this is maybe the first glimpse into that we see.
Yes.
Again, another reason why I would absolutely advise anyone who is reading this book to also download the audiobook, because there is a very special end of credits musical dedication to Donut's love of Oasis. So please download the audiobook. It's so good.
Yes, there are a lot of pop culture references in these books, and there have been a lot of references to Gossip Girl, to MacGyver, to this and that, to Oasis. Many of them are just fun little like connections with the real world and to the reader.
Yep.
This one, I'm going to spoil, this Oasis reference is very special. And at the time,
It is.
it just felt like another one. It just felt like another reference. It reminds me of how in season 2 of The Bear, I don't know if you've seen The Bear, Shannon.
I haven't, but I definitely want to watch it.
There's an episode where Richie is getting out of the car with his daughter in one of the early episodes of season 2, and he just like makes this offhanded comment. And he's talking to her, and then they're saying goodbye, and he's like, "Oh, and I'm sorry about what I said about Taylor Swift. I just needed a break from her, honey." And that's it. It just feels like a throwaway comment meant to like just build their relationship and like not at an interaction we didn't see, but demonstrate that their father-daughter relationship is complicated and interesting and real. But then there's a huge Taylor Swift payoff with him later in that season, and what felt like kind of like just like a little tiny little throwaway line to build the character actually has huge cathartic payoff. It's very good, and that's the same with this Oasis line.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and watch that show. But yeah, so like this chapter, I would say, is very similar to like a lot of the other kind of like, I'm not going to call it, I hate to call it a filler chapter, because like something very important happens in this chapter, but like, you know, the action is very, it's like, okay, yeah, they're fighting, they make it to the boss room, they're grinding, and then they see these kobolds. Is it the kobolds?
Yes,
yeah,
it's the
outside
kobolds.
of it, but they're in cages.
Yeah,
and they hear cheering happening inside the boss room.
It's a Portuguese dog pound, which is on theme with the kobolds.
It's very clear that like, okay, it's like a fucking like a dog fighting ring, and it like Carl has a very clear idea of like what is waiting inside of the boss chamber, and he's just like, God damn it, this is disgusting. He fucking hates it, but he has an idea. And he's like, hey, I have all these treats. All of these kobolds are red right now. What if I fed this pet? Let's just see what happens. And Donut's like, how dare you give this dog my food? Like, she's very mad about it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we do see that the red dot turns to white. So it becomes neutral to them.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, this is another one of those Carl's intuition kind of pays off in a big way kind of a moment. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's him remembering Mordecai saying like, pay attention to the clues, look for the clues. Exactly. And that ingenuity and attention will pay off.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a dogfighting ring. He learns, and they get 14 of the danger dingoes to, quote, remove their hostility, I think is what it is later referred to. He gets ready to open the door and throw in a boom jug, but the door opens, and he throws it. There is a boss that is like holding a little cage with a gerbil named Ralph. I have a picture of Ralph from the chapter cover right there. As the bomb is flying through the air,
so mad.
It's very funny. The AI does like their boss intro. It is a frenzied gerbil named Ralph. It's level 11, which I think is the same level as Carl. And then we get a very interesting description. It's basically a Black Death history lesson from the Middle Ages, which states that in actuality, it wasn't black rats that were the main driver of the plague. It was gerbils from Asia. I looked this up. This is a real thing. A 2015 study found this to be true. So Matt Dinniman is a history nerd and keeps up with modern research, apparently.
Yeah, good for him, man. It's amazing, right?
Yeah. The gerbil is a normal mob on the 5th or 7th floor. Not the 6th, apparently. Very interesting. And as the boss fight starts and unfreezes time, the gerbil rockets like a bullet out of the cage, right as all the kobolds get blown up. One surviving kobold presses a button that frees all the danger dingoes, which Carl says, bad choice, little ant. And one of the kobolds eats the boss. And they start attacking other surviving kobolds. And Donut says, this is anticlimactic. And yes, Yes, it is. Except the boss music keeps playing. And Carl suspects it isn't over and forms his gauntlet fist. The dingo who had eaten Ralph explodes as Ralph escapes.
Poor dingo.
And then Donut looked pointedly at my foot. It's a small rodent. Your feet are all nice and shiny. As Miss Beatrice used to say, time to pay the daddy tax.
Yes.
And Carl, quote, Mike Tyson's the gerbil and almost kills it with a punch, knocking it down. His gauntlet has a 2% chance to stun monsters, we're reminded. And this is the first time it happens. And then he says in his head, time to pay the daddy tax. He puts his foot on the boss and says, sorry, Ralph. And then we cut. That's the end of the chapter. And I love the dramatic cutaway for emphasis. They are in control. We don't need to see the gore. We don't want to see the gore. We know it's there. We can picture it. We are picturing it. And we are not the one it is for. It's for the AI and it is for the viewers of the show, of the crawl. Yeah. And so I think this scene accomplishes just reminding us that all this advice is pouring through their head to look for the clues, to play it smart, to think ahead. And it demonstrates how even with a boss of the same level as them, they are the ones in control here. So as we head into these last couple chapters, we are feeling that.
I think I don't know if you mention it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. The next chapter opens with the dungeon groaned. It groaned.
It starts with Carl wiping the gore off of his foot. So it's like a denial of the gore because we don't need it. But then it's like, no, here it is. It's like,
yep, exactly. He's like, whoops. He's like wiping his foot off on the bar of the cage.
Yes.
And then
and
then
it won't
he says
come
that
off.
the dungeon
Groans,
it shudders. It shudders like if there's an earthquake. And his HUD
flickers.
This
is the AI. The AI is losing control or like has an orgasm with the dungeon.
It's having
that
a moment.
It can control. Yeah. It's gross.
It's super gross, but I love it.
Yes. So anyway, they are rewarded with a reward room, a special type of loot from a boss. Where the description of a reward room says that they're scattered around the dungeon. It provides loot not found in boxes. You are offered multiple rewards, but choose one despite your party size. The description says I want you to have it. I don't care what the other members of your party say. You should get it. Except it says that to all of them, which is funny. But even though it's kind of a funny comment and it's sarcastic, this is a sinister game design. It is meant to divide loyalty and encourage PvP and tension among party members. But it is also a clever way for Matt Dinniman to demonstrate lots of different reward and loot and item concepts that he has thought of. So he can like pitch us 10, like he does right here. Here are 10 pets. This is a pet reward room. Here are 10 cages. You have one key. Choose one starter Pokemon.
Yes, exactly.
Regret the 9 that you can't have and will never be able to choose ever again. And so he like goes down the line. Some of them are white dots. Some of them are red dots and hostile. There's a parrot, a green slime, a rat, a brindle grub, which it's a brindle grub. We know brindle grubs evolve. There are evolutions. These will grow and become stronger.
It really is a Pokemon. That's crazy.
And then the mix of like hostility and friendliness. Oh, they can be hostile to us who own them. Pet mechanics are complicated. We're quickly learning. There's something called a tummy acher that is a meatball with 2 legs and a mohawk.
Yep. Oddly
specific detail. Matt Dinniman wants us to remember this for later, and it does come up in a couple in the epilogue. But that's not the only time. Carl really wants to get a grub and evolve it into a Vespa. He thinks it would be really good, but Donut is attached to a chicken dinosaur with pink feathers that looks like this. Oh, it's so cute. It's so tiny. It is smaller than
Baby
her.
Mongo.
It is much smaller than her.
Oh,
Carl describes it as having pink feathers. It chirps and coos at Donut. He says it's so ugly, it's cute, but it opens its beak and reveals a bunch of little sharp teeth. This is called, I think I'm pronouncing this right, a mongoliensis. Mongoliensis?
I think liensis. Yeah.
It has a red dot. It is hostile to them. They can't enter the cage, like there's a force field, but it is snapping at them. Donut immediately says, if you're a boy, I'm going to name you Mongo. If you're a girl, I'm going to name you Sissy. They tried to feed it a pet biscuit like they did with the dingoes to remove the hostility, but they discover the force fields. Carl knows it is best to just let Donut have the pet, and wonders if charisma and maybe strength will factor into like controlling it. And it will also let her focus on something, I think, to myself. And then the system starts to give them a countdown. They must pick quickly. They open the cage. Carl grabs it as it leaps and starts to like thrash and bite at them. And he like plops down with it. And it just reminds me of like coming home and having a new pet for the first time and trying to like work out your relationship with this creature. And Donut like calls him Mongo. It's a boy. And then Mongo bites her on the nose. Bad Mongo. While Carl is laughing. So it's just this cute little moment. This is a pet class mob. The pet has yet to bond with a crawler. This reminds me of like Pikachu from the first episode of the cartoon, like not wanting to work with Ash. The description says that the Mongoliensis is stubborn, hot-headed, and not the type to ever be tamed. The best you can hope for is mutual respect, and even then, it might eat you. Okay, so this thing's going to get bigger.
Donut picked the most like hostile, hard to work with. Like she was just like, "Yep, that's the one. That's the one I want. I love it."
But she's doing it for the likes.
Yeah, exactly.
The description says, while especially powerful, fast, and vicious, when they are fully grown at level 15, getting them to level 15 is about as likely as a cheerleader from West Virginia reaching her 18th birthday party as a virgin.
I mean, I lived in Western Pennsylvania. I can confirm. I'm just saying.
It goes on.
We know folks from WB. Go ahead. All right.
They will immediately attack any mobs they see. They will fight to the death. Good luck. This is not boding well. Carl thinks should have gotten the grub. Donut, I am not having a disgusting bug as a pet, Carl. She pets Mongo. He snaps and bites her arm. She yowls. Well, we better figure out how to get this thing to bond with you before we go to Mordecai's room, or Mongo is going to teleport away the second we walk in there. Don't worry, Carl. Mongo and I are practically best friends already. Aren't we, Mongo? Mongo screeches. It's very funny. This just running bit of Mongo biting her on the nose and screeching at her. And then we move into the final chapter. There is an epilogue, but this is the final chapter. And I just wrote the chapter title Mongo. And it's all about them like working to bond with her. Oh, by the way, we see their numbers again. Their views have multiplied by 70. Their followers have multiplied by 5, and their favorites have multiplied by 6. But this chapter is about this last chapter is about them bonding with Mongo it's about us bonding with Mongo as a new party member, as Donut is trying to bond with Mongo, and just getting used to the party dynamic, which is really cute. It's really fun. It's nice that they have like something else to focus on and to grow and build besides just like stat numbers. It like not personifies, but it puts a living entity and emotional stakes on their growth and in development as a party.
Their success. Yeah, absolutely.
But it also increases the ante. They now have something that Donut is emotionally vested in, and it is a little tiny baby creature and can die. And as they're learning, about pet mechanics from Mordecai, that we're also thrown in the additional immediate stakes of, if you don't bond with this before the end of the floor, which is in a few hours, it will not come with you. It will die on the floor. You need to get it to bond with you. And that's what this chapter is about, is like trying to figure out how to get it to bond with them.
Exactly. And it's a little taste for Donut for what Carl. It's different because Mongo is not like Donut, but it's a little taste for Donut what Carl feels for Donut.
Yeah.
The responsibility that Carl feels for Donut, because even though she's more powerful, just like how Mongo will eventually become very powerful, you know, he's still a little baby, and Donut is like, yeah, she's all in. She's like, this is my son. This is my son, Mongo. Like, she's super all in. So no, I agree. Yeah, this chapter was super fun. Yes. But it was very lighthearted and
yes, very lighthearted. Although there's some really, I think, cute things when they reach Mordecai and he has cleaned up his room for the first time. He's like pulling himself together. He's feeling hopeful. Maybe we kind of get like that cleanliness as a clue into his mental state and emotional state. They learn a lot about like choosing class and race, which I don't actually think is that important to get into, but it is very interesting.
We learn more about that in book 2, but I will say I agree with the hopeful state, because as we learned from Audette, you know, he'll stick around for another 1,000 years or whenever the next Borant funded, you know, dungeon crawl is, and you know, because unless some of his folks that he is guiding reach, what was it, level 4? I think it's level 4. Like on level 4, he's like,
they have to make it to the 4th floor.
Then he's like good to go.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my God, they survived the 1st floor and the 2nd floor. Maybe he hasn't experienced this with any of the other crawlers, and who knows how long.
Yeah.
He's cleaning up. He's cleaning up his act. He's like, maybe I'm getting out of here. Yep. So we start to see some of that from him. And just as a beautiful precursor, we get to see in book 2 a lovely spoiler for those who are interested. Sexy Mordecai. Cannot express to you enough how much I wish that sexy Mordecai had stuck around. He was only there.
Well, there's fan fiction. There's fan fiction, Shannon. Go to the fan fiction.
There's always fan fiction. Oh, sexy Mordecai. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, as Mordecai is explaining a lot of the like class and race mechanics, we actually learned something a little sad. His brother was a crawler.
Yes.
And we start to put some puzzle pieces together. But as they're talking, Carl stands too close to Mongo in his cage, and Mongo attacks him, teleports away. They rush out and find him crying. The dinosaur looked up. The little shit looked like he'd been crying. His beady reptilian eyes grew giant when he saw us. He ran right to Donut, little arms out like a long-lost puppy reuniting with his owner. It's okay. I'm here. Mommy is here, Donut said. He rushed up and chomped her directly on the nose.
It did bit her on the nose.
It's just this ongoing bit that's so funny. So
good.
Ironically, a recap mentions, like a host of a recap mentions that Mongo is a pack hunter. So Carl gets the idea that they need to pack hunt with Mongo. And so he's like, go show him how to kill. You two go kill together. Go use your claws, which is catching in on her aversion to using her claws and it being, you know, a path forward and overcoming that being a path forward. So they find some grubs and she like unzips one with a single claw. Mongo loves this and immediately gets on board and he just starts slashing stuff and his dot turns white. This is the first step to bonding. It isn't quite there. The pressure is on. They have 40 hours left. I wrote in my notes, get in the Pokeball Pikachu. We learn more about pet mechanics. You can generally only have one pet, but crawler pets don't count like Donut originally and Lucia Mar's dogs. We also learned that there is a woman with 15 goats, which is hilarious and amazing. Yeah. And then blah, blah, blah. If you need to do more than just bond with him, you're going to need to teach him restraint or he's going to die. This is the stakes coming into play. And he might just take you down with him if he aggravates the wrong mob. Leroy Jenkins, much. Any attempt at stealth is going to be out the window until he learns to behave himself. And then Mongo runs up to Mordecai and attacks his leg.
Yep.
They work on like commands: attack, come, lie down. They all work really well. Stay does not, but because Mongo is food motivated, it makes training easier. I can attest to this. My first dog was very food motivated and trained very quickly. They have 10 hours left. They're training with, they reach up to attacking Vespas with Mongo. Mongo gets grabbed by a Vespa and almost eaten, but Donut, like Arya at the end of Game of Thrones, flies across the room and decapitates it. And Mongo's dot turns orange, and she gets to name him Mongo the Mongoliensis, level 1, pet of Grand Champion Best in Dungeon Princess Donut, has joined the party. His title has changed to Royal Steed. We did it, Donut cried, hopping up and down. We tamed Mongo. Mongo also jumped up and down next to the cat. He squawked with delight, waving his little arms, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, they did it. They bonded. And then he bit Donut right on the nose. It doesn't stop. It's perfect. It's just the assurance that this is not going to change.
Nothing.
But it actually, it's kind of risky because it does, because she's taking damage from it.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it so fucking much.
And then
what a fantastic way to
it's so cute.
And then we hit
there's two more scenes. There's one more scene before the epilogue, and that is they run into Agatha, but not before but not before Carl, who's been getting all of these like determined value potions from the AI. I mean, from the loot. I mean, from the AI. He's like, why aren't I getting better rewards? And he's like getting all these new ways to sort and look at his like items, including a history tab. He can look at items he has had, and he comes across 3 pieces of high tech from the Volte Corporation. There's a comms relay, a personal shield, and a pulse pistol. And he's like, where the fuck did I get these? And right at that moment, Agatha appears, which is both like
with her squeaky wheels coming around the corner.
It's Matt Dinniman doing like a call and response with writing. It's like, ask a question, present the answer, like show, don't tell the answer. And so he realizes she is up to something. All of this with her not being in the recap, it means something. And so, there's this little interaction. He's basically like, I need to talk to you about your shopping cart. And she like gives him a knowing look. Like, don't you fucking dare.
Don't say it. Yeah.
And he's like, I can fix your shopping cart. The wheels are squeaky. And she's like, it's fine. And she leaves. But Zeb texts them and is like, hey, the feed just went out. That's really weird. Apparently it's been going out all day. And Carl does not believe that
Agatha
it's a coincidence.
Yeah, no, obviously, wherever Agatha was, those cameras were not rolling.
Yes. So then we get to the epilogue. The epilogue is them on Audette's show right before they descend. Lexus, her assistant, gives Mongo a bow tie, which lasts 3 seconds. It's very cute because Donut had been talking about putting bow ties on the pets.
Bow ties on him.
According to Audette, the dungeon does have a Pokeball system where they can safely put away pets. We learn a bit more about the pork boy Snick. We actually get to see it, apparently. There's some conversation about it. Audette basically says you should have taken the tummy acre. This is why Matt Dinniman described it in full. It's so that Carl can learn that he didn't make the most optimal choice. But she says Mongo will be great, though. And then she starts giving some advice on class and race. This is where she says, like, let Donut go first so you can tailor your picks to hers. He asks about the Volte Corporation with the Agatha stuff. She says, be careful if they seem to be trying to communicate with you. They are a very powerful corporate system government. They are the ones waiting to collect on Borant's debt. They're parked outside the Borant system, just waiting. They are the ones that forced the season to start early. They are the ones that have the most to gain, and they are one of the most powerful entities in the universe. Next season is theirs. And she informs us that they are, in fact, parasitic life forms. They take control of other life forms. Oh, fuck. A stealthy life form that we can't predict where they're going to come from. Great.
Or what they look like, because they can look like anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it's so
Scary.
good.
Yeah.
Matt Dinniman.
Yeah. This is the parasite trope of sci-fi, of fantasy. It's very clever. It's very good. And it just adds another dimension to everything that's going to happen.
I'm going to love it so much.
Odette says, yes, please get Mongo to stop biting donuts. And by the way, Mongo's a velociraptor, if you didn't know. And then she offers one last suggestion that's going to piss someone off. Donut should pick a certain class offered to high charisma players, but if you pick it, someone will get angry. I remember running through the list of who could get pissed off. And I'm like, what class would piss someone off? I'm like, Maestro, Agatha, Zeb, the AI.
Right. AI, maybe. Yeah.
But I think it's pretty obvious. It's probably going to be Mordecai.
Especially since he hates her so fucking much already.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, God.
So
book 2.
That's book 1. Yeah. It's good. It does so much world building. It's so good at getting us to buy into the whimsical tone, the witty banter, with all the pop culture references and just the silly moments. It's so good.
Pop culture, sci-fi, body horror, fucking like fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a little bit of everything.
It's a little bit of everything. It's very much a mixed bag, but like, Nik, I'm so glad that you decided, like, I know that I enticed you with like the first one's free by like, I literally copied the first 2 chapters.
You did. You screenshot them in messages to me.
I screenshotted them and I sent them as messages to you. And I was like, please just read these. And if you hate them, I won't say anything ever again. And you read them and you loved it. And thank you. Thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me.
Yeah,
because
it's great.
I desperately needed someone to talk to about these books.
Well, now you're stuck with me.
I would have been stuck with you anyway, my love. But like, what's really wonderful is that like my community of like romance readers, people who are into like fantasy and romance, are now finding the joys of Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it has been all over my feed for months. And it's really picked up steam, and I'm super excited.
It's getting out there. I mean, it's getting a TV show. It's getting a role-playing game. It's getting branded as like other board games getting reskinned. It's picking up steam.
Yes. I mean,
it's great.
Deservedly so. Absolutely. And again, and I can't say this enough, if you have not bought the audiobook to accompany,
they're so good.
The reading material, then like you are missing out, because Jeff Hayes is the most talented.
He's incredibly talented.
He's so incredible.
I've been watching interviews with him, and he can fall into his characters at the drop of a hat. Some of them he has to think about, but not only that, but he can move in and like between them so quickly. I've watched him actually do recordings, and he'll like sit there actually read and not just do like record a snippet.
Yeah,
He's recording the whole thing. It's great.
If you don't follow Sound Booth Theater already, you absolutely should, because they do occasionally they'll do like a live. It's not. I say live, but it's like quote unquote live recording, and you'll get to see him in his studio recording like scenes where he'll go through multiple takes of Dungeon Crawler Carl, which is kind of their flagship, audio experience. So like, Jeff Hayes, Sound Booth Theater, Matt Dinniman, it's a match made in heaven. And at the time, I'll say this, I think that at the time, whenever the first book was out, I think it wasn't until the second book, the third book even, when the third book came out, that was when the audiobooks started to come out in tandem, because obviously it takes some time to record it. But at the time that the third book came out, the audiobooks were just starting to kind of like come into it. So Matt Dinniman then began to tailor certain passages, certain scenes with Jeff Hayes as the narrator. In mind,
writing
and
for the audible medium in mind,
and it became, and not to say that the first book was like anything less than perfection, but like it becomes so much more cohesive, and the audio itself and the characters begin to they evolve, they coalesce, they evolve as time goes on. And and Matt Dinniman's even said, he's like, I was really excited to see how you would voice this character when you got to this chapter, and I couldn't wait to see how you did it. And it was just
it's really
it gets better and better and better with every book.
I could see some authors being like, well, I want to write this like as my own thing, and and let someone else interpret it and make it their own. But he's looking at it as this opportunity to collaborate with another like artist in a way. Because Jeff Hayes is making decisions about how like what someone's tone and affect are in a scene that don't necessarily like aren't on the page. So
it's a lightning in the bottle kind of a scenario where every now and again you get like the right audio, like you get the right narrator, you get the right author, and they interpret their work in such a way that it becomes greater than the sum of its parts. And I really feel like this is definitely that. It's, oh God, I can't tell you over the course of the last few years how many people I've like, it must sound like I'm getting a kickback from them or something, because I'm like, have you heard the good news about Dungeon Crawler Carl, our Lord and Savior, Matt Dinniman? I'm just fanatical about it, and I love seeing artwork, and I love seeing people's costumes when they go to Comic-Con now, and everybody's in these little heart-shaped boxers, and they've got like stuffed cats on their shoulders with tiaras and sunglasses. It's fucking fantastic, and I love the community. So like all of this is to say, like, I just went on a big long tangent, but thank you so much for like reading this book, so that I have someone to talk to about how much I love it.
Me too, and I'm looking forward to continuing on. We in the pre-show we're talking about how we're going to approach the next couple books. So we'll be back next week with book 2, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. We can now see that cover on the screen here. I love that Carl's leg is over the author's name. You can't even see it completely. It's beautiful, a beautiful choice.
Look how big Mongo's gotten.
Mongo's big. Carl has explosives.
We see some tents in the background.
What's that? What are the tents about? Who knows?
We definitely see the tiara on Donut's head. That's nice.
So next time we will be reading the first 14 chapters of this book. That is equivalent to the first 5 episodes we did on book 1, but we're going to be really condensing it, moving a lot more quickly through the stuff, and only hitting like brief details and highlights.
There'll be talking points. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button or whatever, but more importantly, like, leave us a comment, let us know you're watching and what your thoughts are on the book. Love to see those notifications pop up on my phone. I try to respond to them immediately. So someone tuned in. So someone commented on a Song of the Ravenlands episode, like on Friday or Saturday this last weekend. They were like, I'm getting popcorn and getting ready to watch an episode. I was like, oh my God, enjoy. It was great.
Hey. Oh, that's fantastic.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.